Hi everyone. So today I'm going to read to you from one of my all-time favourites. It's an absolute classic. It's a book called Goodnight Mr Tom. It's by Michelle Magorian. You can see how often I have read this book. It's a little bit battered now. It is a book about a little boy called William Beach, Willie Beach, who a shy and quiet little boy, World War II evacuee who is basically he's sent away and he's housed. He's living with a disgruntled old man, but it's all about their relationship as the time goes on, their relationship and their bond gets develops and gets closer, which is really lovely. The part I'm going to read to you. So Willie is staying with Mr. Tom Oakley in the village of Little Weirwold, but in this part of the book, Willie is about to make his first friend, Zach. "Hello," he said brightly, grasping Willie's hand. There was a loud squelching of mud as he shook it. "Sorry," gasped Willie in embarrassment. The strange boy grinned and wiped it on the seat of his shorts. "You're William Beach, aren't you?" Willie nodded. "Pleased to meet you. I'm Zacharias Wrench." "Oh," said Willie. "Yes, I know. It's a mouthful, isn't it? My parents have a cruel sense of humour. I'm called Zach for short." The strange boy's eyes seemed to penetrate so deeply into Willie that he felt he could read his thoughts. He averted his gaze and began hurriedly to cover the Anderson again. "I say, can I help? I'd like to." Willie was quite taken aback at being asked. "I'm rather good at it, actually," he continued proudly. "I've given a hand at the creation of several. I wouldn't mess it up." "Yeah," replied Willie quietly, "if you want to." "Thanks, I say," he said as he dumped a handful of earth on the side of the shelter. "I'll show you around. Do you like exploring?" Willie shrugged his shoulders. "I don't know." "Is it your first visit to the country?" But before Willie could reply, the boy was already chattering on. "It's not mine exactly. I've had the odd holiday with friends and my parents, but this is the first time I've actually sort of lived in the country. I've read books that are set in the country, and of course poems, and I've lived in towns near the country and gone into the country on Sundays or when there was no school." He stopped, and there was a moment's silence as they carried on working. "You've not been here long, have you?" he asked after a while, and Willie shook his head. "Else I'm sure I would have seen you around. You're different." Willie raised his head nervously. "Am I?" "Yeah. I sensed that as soon as I saw you. There's someone who's a bit of a loner, I thought. An independent sort of soul, a bit like myself, perhaps." Willie glanced quickly at him. He felt quite tongue-tied. "You're living with Mr. Oakley, aren't you?" He nodded. "He's a bit of a recluse, I believe." "What?" said Willie. "A recluse. You know, keeps himself to himself." "Oh." "I say," said Zach suddenly, "we'll be at school together, won't we?" He shrugged his shoulders again. "I don't know." He felt somewhat bewildered. He couldn't understand this exuberant friendliness in a boy he'd only had a glimpse of twice. It was all a bit fast for him to take in. "I expect you think I'm a bit forward," remarked Zach. "What?" "Forward, you know. But you see, my parents work in the theatre, and so I'm used to moving from town to town that I can't afford to waste time. As soon as I see someone I like, well, I just talk to them." Willie almost dropped the clod of earth he was holding. No one had ever said that he liked them before. He'd always accepted that no one did. Even his mum said she only liked him when he was quiet and still. For her to like him, he had to make himself invisible. He hurriedly put the earth onto the shelter. "I say," said Zach after a while, "I can't reach the top. Is there a ladder indoors?" Willie nodded. "Where is it?" "In the hall. It's Mr. Tom's." "He won't mind, will he?" "I don't know," whispered Willie, a little panic-stricken. "I'll take the blame if there's any trouble," said Zach. "I say, maybe we can finish it and put the ladder back before he returns. It'll be a surprise then, won't it?" Willie nodded dumbly. "Lead the way then," cried Zach. On. And with that, they made their way towards the back door. It's such a lovely book. Friendship on lots of different levels. So it's a really, really lovely story. And as I said at the beginning, a classic. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye.